Hell, where do you send your guys' golf clubs when you need them repaired, fixed, fitted, whatever? I know a good guy. Let's talk about that stuff next on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here. And why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats. I am no different. I got to turn this thing off. It's about what's in my drawers in the golf shop. And what we do here is we talk about golf club repairs, fittings, and reviews. All serious scores can go low. Now that I'm in this groove, if you look down below here on this little banner, it says, if you know some folks, let them know about us, invite them here, join us, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We are climbing. Okay. One last shameless plug because of this one. We'll get into it and we'll talk here. So we're going to review a few things here first. What we did over the weekend, we actually did quite a bit of club work, and that was kind of the idea of the motto or the subject matter for today. Where do you send your stuff? Because we've got this set here with those set of red grips and going on those heads. If you notice, there are 4 wedges and an iron. We'll tell you about that one here in a moment. And you see how the ferrules are a little bit different, and they look a lot like that. So where'd those go to? So these went to Pennsylvania. And the deal about the Strixon iron here is we had made that iron for them once before, and we got a note saying, hey, we got a problem with the iron. I'm like, oh, no, what'd we do? And it turns out that the club fell out of a bag or something along that lines, and somebody was behind them, ran clean over it, and flattened it like a pancake. So the Nippon 850S cannot take the weight of a golf cart with some folks and bags in it. So, and that's to be expected. So no, it didn't snap. It just got flat. All righty. So and the rest of them got wedges, and those wedges actually match that set for another set of clubs that we made for that customer in Pennsylvania. All righty. Now we got this one. These are 2 PXG Black Ops brand spanking. Are pretty doggone close, and that we reshafted. They had some MMTs in it, and he wanted the C6 right there, the C6, and apparently he tested it, and he apparently liked it, and then we put some Myomic grips on it. Now, this customer is in Maryland, and we've done some work for this person before. In fact, that finishes off that set. We did one where we showed you a couple of weeks ago. That we did probably a 6 through, and that's the 4 and the 5. So he's ready to go with that. Now I gotta give him props because that grip with that shaft right to here on this head looks pretty damn cool. It does. It's really, really neat. So we got it looking like it was brand spanking for him before, and then that one. And now this set, what we got one more right here. What's this? Oh, that's just another more view of that one. All right, the next set is going to Tennessee, right? And I think this is one. Is it? This is Tennessee. I know. That's what I'm doing. You're not caught up. Okay, Peanut Gallery. All right, Peanut Gallery. So anyway, we got this one, and as you can tell that they're finished off. And if you can't tell, I got Peanut Gallery with me today, so this could be fun or not. And so what we got here is the MCC with the lines on them. And what do we put in them? This is what you call an oldie but goodie. And there were some Wishon 565 cavity backs. And if you look, a very, very, very large cavity with the weight right behind the ball. Now, the thing about Wishon is they always have the little extra piece in the bottom of the hosel so you could put weight in there for weighting without sacrificing the depth of the hosel insertion, which I thought was a brilliant option for them. This gentleman was in Tennessee, and he wanted them 3/4 of an inch short and then a couple degrees up. So we bent them for him, and we put he said the ferrules are my choice, so I gave him the extra wide double chrome, and there's some more of the other side of it, and then of course, the KBS Max. And there we go. And so what this one was is an order for a gentleman who had this particular set before and wanted something a little softer, a little bit lighter in it as the swing speed gets a little bit slower and a little bit slower and a little bit, well, we'll say smoother. How about that? So those are the ones. And we had a set go to Louisiana. What went to Louisiana? Oh, I got a set going to Louisiana. Sorry. And so they're going around we're going all over the U.S. with this, and that's a great thing. We really feel honored that people are trusting us to do this stuff from a distance, because it's really, really hard. When you're sending out your golf clubs, you're always wondering what you're going to get back, right? What am I going to get back from people? And I think that's kind of the point of this channel is, showing them what you can do if you wanted to do at the house, like regripping, right? If you want, regripping is the easiest way to make your clubs feel better, and there's not a lot of cost to get started. And if you mess up, it's only the cost of a grip, and it's a learning experience. So, and if you do really well off the bat, it's a very inexpensive change. So, and to make your clubs feel better. Now, the other stuff could get a little dicey depending on your level of ability to work with tools. Some people can, some people cannot. Just what it is. And some people just don't have the time. But we are just super happy that there's people all over the U.S. that will trust us to do this kind of stuff for them. And right now, like I told you last week, we are working on a set of irons from a guy from Pakistan. But he's currently residing in Canada, but we have some Muras that we're going to reshaft, and that one's been a task because he has very specific wants or needs that I cannot see or feel across the phone line or an email. So he's done some fittings, and he's describing what worked well and those kinds of things in order for me to be able to recommend some stuff and get him to where he needs. So I think these Muras that we're going to put together are going to be a neat little test, I think, is what's going to happen. It's going to be a neat little test to see what's happening, and we'll see if we can't do that. All righty. So once I got my chores done, we went out to Distillery Land, and what we did is we went to Indiana first and went to Hard Truth first and made a whole entire day of it. We started there at lunch and then went on their where they Get Lost tour. And of course, I didn't bring any pictures because of this one, but the Get Lost tour, you get an ATV and you go right around 300 acres, and you make 3 or 4 stops actually, and you get to sample mixed drinks using their vodkas and their gins and their rums and that kind of stuff in order to get a better idea of what they do as opposed to just being a bourbon company. I will say that they have a toasted coconut rum that is very particularly awesome. All right. So if you're not a brown spirits drinker like Clear, and you're looking at somebody looking for something that has just a flavor you can sip on without adding anything, this is one of those things. Now, to give it more of a perspective, I had an issue with rum when I was in the Navy, if you can imagine, and I've not had a sip of rum since that time frame. It's been almost 30 plus years, and this stuff I could drink. It's very, very easy to sip on. All right, so then we went into a tiki ride. The tiki ride was you got on a boat and sailed around in their pond for a while, and again you drank tiki-like drinks, and they had their own mixtures, and those were very, very good. And again, we ended up with that coconut rum. So we got in there and ended up getting a few bottles of that for her, and a bunch of bottles for me.
That's for me in glass.
For you in glass, whatever, it's for you. And so we did that. So then we went and got cleaned up, and then came back for the late night where they had a bottle release. It was a bottle that was released finished in Mezzanera cast. It's a Japanese wood, and it's supposed to mellow it out a little bit. And so some of the things that, now this I did take pictures of, and this was kind of the they did food pairings, which is really neat. Never been to a food pairing before. And so that was barbecued bacon wrapped shrimp with that drink. I got to say, I was not impressed with any of the drinks, but the food pairing was very, very good. And then there's the dessert. The dessert was a pecan pie, and then that had watermelon in it. That one was pretty tasty. Robin liked it so much she took mine. So there's that one. Then the following day took us down into Bardstown, and we went and saw a few places, but we ended up at Log Still. Well, let's see here. There we were. This was at the end of the night at Hard Truth. That was the folks we were sitting at the table with, a whole cast of characters. Very, very cool folks. Most of them have to deal with emergency. They were like EMTs, paramedics, that kind of stuff. So that was very cool. Taking off, we went and we stopped at Starlight on the way down when we left Hard Truth the next day. And Starlight was releasing a 10-year-old bourbon. So we stopped there, and there's what it looked like as you were driving in. That was just, it's a really neat, just a really neat farmer's market kind of place to be. Okay. And then we went and stopped at, we ended up the day at Limestone. They had a thing where if we are founding members of this thing for their club that they've got. And they took us around. It was a really great time. We got to meet Stephen Beam, who's their master distiller. And yes, Beam, he's one of the many Beams that are out there from the James Bean. And he's a 7th generation distiller. And that's us standing in front of one of their little bitty experimental rickhouse. And there we go. Oh, and here's Mr. Beam right here. There he is right there. So that's what we got. So it was a great weekend. Came home with a bunch of really nice bottles. I think Mrs. McGolf came away with more this time around, but they weren't. They didn't carry quite the price tag mine did, because we did some strawberry wine for slushies. We did some blackberry whiskey from Starlight, and we did the coconut rum. So there it is. So that's there lies the long and the short of it. Again, when you get somebody that you have to send your stuff to, send them an email, give them a call, right? And ask them how they would do a repair, or is it easy to do a repair, or have them describe something that makes you feel good. It's the same thing as going and getting a lesson. You know, there might be the best instructor on the planet, but if for some reason your communication isn't working, it's not going to be a very good experience. And so that you can get the idea that the person that you're working with knows what they're doing, right? And that's kind of the idea. That's what I'm trying to get across on this one. Okay. So that was probably one of my shortest let's get into it kind of things. So to get things started, as part of the, we stopped at Evergreen Liquors in Bardstown, which is a great little liquor store with a bar in it. And we met some friends there. Mrs. McGolf met a new friend. We stayed till about 11. And I found Elijah Craig, the new Elijah Craig B525, which is just shy of 12 years old and 126 proof. And to compare it, I now have the 420 B524, sorry. So this last year's model, and it is 11 months, 2 years at 130. So we're going to do a little comparison while we're talking. All right, so let's start talking up here. Right to the top we go. Okay. Matt Revlock, shot rounds of 68 and 74. You go, man. I send every club issue right to McGolf Custom Clubs. There you go. Describe your favorite shot from this season so far. Ooh, favorite shot. You know what? My favorite shot, I think you guys even saw it on camera, hitting the drive. I hit a really, really good drive with the mini driver. I was just so happy with it. But, you know, in the past, I've been not too bad off the tee. My shortcomings has been in the short game. And when I had Mrs. McGolf with me, and she was filming, I had to act my age, and I was chipping, and my chipping right then and there was putting things close, stopping them where I wanted to. And so in the last one you guys saw where I was chipping on and I was getting close, those are my favorite shots of the day where it takes a little bit of touch. All right. SEAL Team Rick. Hey, cool. That's a good one. Hoorah. Look at that. He's got a SEAL team on there. All righty. I would love to know if counterbalancing affects the deflection of the shaft. I'm considering counterbalancing my Smoke RDX Blue for an ST Max driver. The driver just feels like a sledgehammer. Oh, okay. No. So Rick, here's the idea. The idea of counterbalancing, there's when you make a golf shaft and you say, I'm going to counterbalance a club, which in reality I think this one might be. So you take the tip to stern, and what you do is there's a balance point. Now it's going to be really high because of the grip, but normally it's about down here. And when you counterbalance, all you're literally doing is moving the balance point towards the butt section of that particular shaft. And when you do that, the idea here is to allow you to make longer clubs at a normal swing weight. Okay, and a lot of that's there. So the tip section, the mid section, none of that truly changes. Okay, but if you already have your shaft, right? You already have your shaft, and you're just putting weight back in here. And 99 times out of 100, the weight you're going to use is only going to be that big, right? It's going to be about 1 inch to 1.25 inches. And no, it will not change the deflection. All you are doing literally is redistributing some weight, or actually you're adding weight in order to make the scales tip in the favor. So all you really are doing is adjusting feel. Okay, you're adjusting feel. Now, what tends to happen there is it's not deflection of the shaft, it's the deflection of you. What happens is, in a lot of guys, that's the reason why you see long drivers back weight, is because they're hitting it with a driver loft that's about 3 to 5 degrees. And you always want to be hitting this thing on an up, right? On a big up, because they normally, they got really tall tees that they're hitting them off of in order to get all that launch angle with hardly any spin. And so what this is going to do, when it gets in the back of your hand, you're going to come through and you're probably going to release just a hair earlier and get a little bit more height. That's what's really happening. Okay, not necessarily the shaft, but the person holding the shaft. Now, if you're an aggressive swinger, that you will absolutely love that. All right, because when you go to swing as an aggressive swinger, this is where you feel your weight, not at the other end. All right, if you're a smoother swinger, the effect isn't nearly as great, because when you bring it back and you're really slow here, this is where you feel it. Okay, and if you're trying to lighten it up a little bit, then that could be for the good. Okay, so hope that helps. There's Charlie. What do you say, sir? B524 at 130 and almost, 11 years, 2 months. I've been letting this thing set. This thing's almost been in the open for about half an hour. First sip of the day. You can always tell. Charlie did 80, 79, 81, 81. You are right there. You are right there, Charlie. Yesterday, shot my age 72 with 2 doubles and 4 birdies. You go, man. I want to grow up and be like you one day, man. That's all there is to it. Oh, I did see if you remember Aloha Fridays, Charlie, but somewhere along the lines, apparently Siri has been listening to me talk, and we have an Aloha Thursday at work because that's our Friday, and the guys are wearing Hawaiian shirts. Well, yesterday on Facebook, which is always a dangerous place to do things like this. They had a Hawaiian shirt, but in place there was flowers, but in between all the flowers were boats. So that was cool. And so Mrs. McGolf is researching that for me. Oh, one other thing. Let me do this. One other thing, Charlie. The guy at Hard Truth is an ex-Navy helicopter pilot. And you'll love this. He flew on the Forrestal, and he also flew on the Independence. And there was one more in that same class that and I couldn't remember the last one. Maybe the older Enterprise, if there was such an animal, is like that. But the older ones, the Forrestal, I kind of went, he goes, yeah, I know, everybody knows about it. But good guy, really good guy. There's hello, Jim and Robin. Is it feasible to shaft a gap wedge and a pitching wedge with a heavier shaft like what is done for other wedges? Yeah, you can. There's nothing saying you can't. You could put a wedge shaft in there just like you did on the wedges. It won't snap like it does with the regular one, but if you're not using it to try and hit 100-yard shots with these things and just coming out of your shoes, it probably work just the same. Sure. Awesome, Charlie. Thanks, Matt. During yesterday's round, I had a feeling of being clammed and calm and relaxed instead of clammed and relaxed. I wish I could capture that every time. Yeah, and you too, bud. I went out there we were out there with Mrs. McGolf, and I was just like, staying out of my own way and not trying to muscle everything. And my gosh, everything was just coming to me. In the zone. Yes, it was. Yes, it is. My putter was hot. I chipped one in to save birdie. It was quite a day. Now, you're just doing good there, right? That's just like watching pros on TV, and a person will get themselves in a bad situation, and they'll do something, it's a mistake that ends up being good. You just know that a guy's got to be thinking it's his turn to win, right? All right. Awesome. Even same par from a greenside bunker. Damn, Charlie, you had it going on. That's probably well, yeah, that's not too bad. Don't let him kid you. I'm sure he does that too. Yeah, he says not really figured out how I have to play in order to score. Yeah, but don't kid yourself. His short game is pretty damn good too. There it was. Does the head of the driver have any weights? You could go with a lighter weight to change the head feel. That's another one. Now by going lighter on that one, Charlie, that could change the way that the shaft will work. As you go lighter, you could make the club stiffer. And if you're, kind of spraying a little bit, that could be a better thing as well. I was hitting the ball well for the most part. I'd say so. Shooting a 72. Nicely done, sir. My birdie chip in was on a par 5 that I topped a 7 wood on my second shot, flushed a 6-iron, and chipped it in. You go, man. I limit my penalty strokes off the tee. I try not to 3-putt and keep doubles or worse off the card. My buddies call it boring golf ho-hum. Matt, I would say everybody on this live stream would take that in a second. But you got to remember who Matt's golfing with are the same set of guys that are scoring that good too. They're just bombing it. They're bombing and gouging while he's playing golf. There's John. Greetings, everybody, from Myrtle Beach, back from vacation in Maryland, Delaware, visiting family. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. You got to see some of the bay, maybe take in some bay crab if it wasn't too awfully expensive, which it probably was. And got to enjoy the time with the family. Okay, before we get to the next one, another shameless plug on my other channel called Pars and Pours. I released a third video on the Ryder Cup. All right, so we have holes 1 through 3, and there's comparison against Rise, i.e. Ryder Cup. We talk about Bethpage Black, and we talk about some rules or history of the Ryder Cup and comparing the two. So now I'm officially, so what I had to do is I had 3 brackets that had to qualify to get into the main bracket, and now we're on, okay? So if you guys like that sort of thing, want to see something about some different rides, because they're not all from the Kentucky Trail, I guarantee it. And enjoy it. It'd be and I'm always asking, if you like to see something different in there, let me know, because you see this format, and basically it is a golf-centric whiskey channel. So there are golf terms and all kinds of other stuff, much like there's whiskey terms on this one. All righty. Steven, shot a 78.82, still no AC. Oh my God, Steven. Hopefully, did you try and, man, there's all kinds of woulda, shoulda, couldas on this one. And that's horrible. I just say that's horrible. I hope you've got fans running, or if you've got one of those little room air conditioners that you can seal off and at least sleep good at night. I feel for you in this, and I'm sure down there you're getting this. We had some ridiculous heat, right? Ridiculous heat here. We had ridiculous heat in Kentucky, and we took those cooling towels with us. Man, did they work well. I like those quite a bit. And we had somebody that was talking to one of the vendor types that was at Limestone, and he had a fan that clipped on your belt, and when you have the shirts that go over your belt, they call that like a beach shirt or something that just goes over top of your clothes, and this fan blows up into your shirt and keeps you cool. I thought, now there's a thought. So that's a neat idea. So yep, we hope that you get your part soon, and we'll go from there. Oh, I do want to do, this is one, I normally don't mix businesses, but in this case, this is important to me. So at my other business, I am the director of emergency services. So I have a handful of folks, probably 60 or 70 folks that report to me, and we all deal in emergency response and emergency management. And this last Sunday, a plant shift superintendent, a person who I could call a friend, was on a trip and got involved in a very bad accident. And the fortunate part about it is that he survived it and he is doing okay. The massively unfortunate portion of this is that his wife did not, right? She passed away in the wreck. And as one might think, that he's having a rough go of it. So we're trying to support him as much as we can. And if you're those folks that do things in prayers and whatnot, let's keep this gentleman in our thoughts and our minds and our hearts. All righty, so let's move on. Okay, we did Stephen with the, that's just disgusting. That's just disheartening, man, when you get hot like that. All righty, Charlie says, good rounds. It sucks being without AC in this heat we've been having. That's a fact. Robin says hi to Matt and Sally and to Charlie. And Robin says hi back. There we go. There's Mr. Dean Walker. How are you, sir? Glad to see you made it back on here. Oh, there's Dan Dabunga. He sends his stuff to us too, and I do appreciate it. It is always fun to see the stuff that he sends me. It's some cool stuff. In the past, I've had clubs built, fixed by many different outfits, but sending Jim and Robin, never go anywhere else. Truly the best. We appreciate that, Dan. We really a lot. And really, we do like that a lot. It's really fun to have folks that believe in us like that, and it's really nice. All righty. I don't know about you guys, but it's been in the mid 90s to upper 90s for the last 4 or 5 days. And yesterday we got in from the trip, and we know more than we got in, and here come the rain. Of course, the rain's about as good, after all the heat, it was okay, except for that now the humidity is about 7 million%, and you got to wait for it to boil off. Well, this morning when I got up to go, and it was about 5:30 in the morning, It was 75 already at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the humidity was just unpalpable. It was like putting on a wool coat when you walked out. Matt Revlock, McGolf Custom Clubs is the spot to send any golf-related equipment issues. There's another advertisement for us. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Robin talking to our SEAL team. So I'm talking to figure out if SEAL Team Rick is really a SEAL team member. I'd hate to think that he would be taking that off and not being one, but that's very cool. Steven says that, Charlie, I've been averaging around 87 in the house, not having a good sleeping. No, and I told you my AC story that when we bought our house, they told us the average temperature was 77. Well, until we bought it, and the average temperature was in the mid to low 90s. And I just kept calling the guys until they said they could be there the next day to install it, and they did, and it was worth every dime I ever paid. Because I was doing the same thing. I was sleeping in the basement with 2 or 3 fans blowing on me because I was working shift work at the time. It was just miserable. Steven, do you have fans? That's what we were just asking that. All right. She's saying hello. John Timmons, what do you say? Good afternoon from the gimpy old golfer. Hey, John. Huh? Oh, yeah. So Mrs. McGolf, with her knee that's been repaired, has been, shall we say, trying to not make it hurt so much. And because of that, her calf muscle has been cramping up because she's been supporting it with the calf instead of the knee, and it's been causing her. So when she gets out of the car or anything from any long time frame, she starts this limping motion. So I called her the hobble along. Well, that turned into the hobble goblin to now just goblin. So it's been fun to have that kind of fun back and forth. Yes, I think so. Maybe a window is in the bathroom to help, or in the bedroom to help you sleep. Yeah, that's what I was kind of looking at. There's the Grayling Slayer. How are you, sir? Glad to see you could make it up there. And Robin's saying hello. And he says he's got ceiling fans and ground fans. All have been going on max speed since Sunday the 20th. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, Stephen, you could go super old school. And you're like, yeah, what was that? In the day, if you wanted to get something cool, what you did was you got yourself a block of ice and you put it in front of the fan so it would blow that cool air off. It's kind of, that is a convection and conduction, where the old-timey refrigerators, when you always saw the ice guy bring it up and put a block of ice on the refrigerator, that was conduction. And I did that once. You got to get a big old pile of ice in a bowl and just let it blow over you, and you'd be surprised how cool that can get. But when the ice is small, even in a pile, it doesn't last as long as one would like. And finding a block of ice could be delivered is nearly impossible. But from a temporary relief point of view, could be kind of neat to try it out. I mean, what do you got to lose? To be cool for about 15 minutes before going to bed. Peter, what do you say, sir? Hello from Myrtle Beach. It's been hot and sticky here. I don't doubt that a minute. Shot 74-75 the weekend. Best shot this year has been ball lying halfway between my waist. Halfway at my waist, and hit a 4 hybrid stiff for a birdie. You did that one with your son, didn't you? I think I remember you telling us about that one. Very well done. Nice rounds. Yep. Saying John T. And there's the sis. Where do I send my clubs? Make coffee. Yep. And she's a little bit biased, but we'll let that slide on this one. Matt says he love the Washawn Love. It's a great company. They do you good. Their designs are very, very solid. Mr. Washawn, or Tom, thinks some of those things through. and a lot of them stand the test of time. You know, the only thing I ever told him that when he asked me what he needed to do, and he asked me what he needed to do, and I said, you need to make the loft stronger to stay in competition. I mean, the designs were solid. They just need to, you know, distance is king when it comes to a lot of golf stuff. And, you know, he really did not like that. He said, just get another club. And I said, that's the logic talking. And I said, that's not the golfer talking. The golfer always wants to hit his pitching wedge as far as everybody else's 9-iron just to show who's boss. And I said, now, do you need to do that? Maybe not, but you don't want to be the one lagging either. I think they're catching up. That last driver I saw them put out was really kind of cool. All right, there's Robin. Uh-oh, Doug's holding on Wednesday. Oh, golfing on Wednesday at Lake Geneva. Well, good for him. Lake Geneva with the company, I only imagine. Hello, and thanks for the dispenser. No, thanks for getting it, man. Let's see how it tinkers out. That ought to be fun.
Do you know you can buy parts at Halfworks?
You said so after I bought the other one, but, you know, I'm okay with this.
I do.
Okay, Peter, is there anything you can do to bring back the new look on a black iron? They look scruffy after hitting them. Unfortunately, no. That is Peter. That is literally that. They call it a PVD finish, or there's a black. There's a black. What do they call it? It's another. It's other than PVD finish. It's like I call it like an ice coating, but it's the black finish, and that's the unfortunate part about black is they look awesome while they're new, but after a lot of play, like you do, particularly when you play down in Myrtle Beach where there's sand. You know, sand is basically exactly that. Is nothing more than sandblasting the bottom of it when you hit through the turf down there. The turf is very aggressive when it comes to dealing with either the black coating or even the clear coat or even the satiny finishes that go on those things. It just tears right through it, particularly after you've hit it a few times, right? And the only way you can do it is you got to send them back. And even then, I don't know if those guys would do that. There is another company, it used to be called Ironworks, that did recoating of clubs, but I don't know if they're still in business. It's been ages. You're welcome, says Robin. There's Jack. Good afternoon, Lombard. Is it hotter than Hades? Oh, because why did they say that? Because he says it's hotter than Hades. I call it the seventh circle of hell, man. It's just, oh my God. This sometimes you're just like, why, oh why, oh why? But there we go. All right. Herman, what do you say? Hello, Jim and Robin. Let me tell you about the CB12 wedge. Yes, I want to hear about this. Used it on Friday. Excellent club. It saves so many times. Shot an 88, but not for the triple bogey. It would have been 85. But the wedge is a game changer. Well, there you go. Right? There you go. That's awesome. We knew that the CB12 is it's very forgiving, right? You get down into it with the triple sole design that, you know, the sole is wider, but you can pick it, but man, oh man, be careful. I think it works a lot better with the hands a little bit forward, and then the thing is a monster. And as I found out, as you guys saw in the video, I found out I had to do that in order to get it to play the way I wanted it to. Now today, Mrs. McGolf just tells me, and here's news right off the press, so I get to tell you something about Callaway that somebody else doesn't tell me first, and that's normally how it works, by the way. She calls me and tells me that they're taking all our Opus wedges back, and I'm like, what? Why? Because they're coming out with a new one. So they're here in the very near future. There will be a new Opus wedge coming out. I have no idea what it looks like. I have no idea where it's going to go. I don't even know if they're going to add or take away lofts and bounce options. But a new one's coming. So as soon as it does, we'll let you know. Hello. Muras, that's all I heard. What are you doing with Muras? So the gentleman sent us some Muras to reshaft, Efren. He's in the world of Pakistan. Apparently, he's a top flight golfer, and although swing speed's gone down a little bit, and he wanted to reshaft these things. So it's really it's the conundrum of golf club building. He wants this. He wants it to be lighter, but he also wants it to be more stable. And he's tried some different clubs, and he goes, "Well, I want it to be lighter." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, well, let's do 105." He goes, "All right," and then he comes back from a fitting. He says, "No, the 120s work just fine. They're great. I want one of those." I said, "Well, that's not lighter. That is not where you want to go. How do you want to approach this?" And he goes back and does another one. So we settled on another shaft. And he was floating between graphite and this 120. And I'm like, yeah, you got to make up your mind here pretty soon, because stable and light sometimes don't go together, and we got to figure out what you want. So we ended up going with KBS. Which one were they? But just the regular ones? Okay, so we went with the KBS Tour and the R, but we're going to hard step at 1. Now, why is that? Because in KBS, they're not all 120. In fact, they're lighter. And as they get softer, they get lighter as well. So we got him not super light, like, say, 100 or 105, but we got him in about the 110 range, and that's lighter still, and still getting him that. So that's where we're going. I think this is more of a test than it is anything else, because now we're starting to talk about drivers, fairway woods, and stuff. There's Robin talking to Sis. Efren says, "Hello from Arizona. How you doing? I saw that, we talked about last time, you brought on LA Golf, not Lab Golf. LA Golf. And I think did you change either the background changed on your logo or your logo changed, but it looks pretty cool. I like it." Yes, they do, Charlie, and not just a couple. They've got a bunch. Now, there are some, we won't call them distilleries because they don't physically have distilling operations, but there are some that will go out and pick barrels and then mix it together. There are several people that are out there doing that now. The bourbon junkies are doing that. You're seeing Bruzel's doing one like that. Even bigger distilling companies are doing that. The Limestone Minor Case is they're having it made to their recipe and then having it brought in, even though they have their own distilling units. So it just depends on what model works best. But there is, even at Hard Truth, right down around the corner is a place called Bear Swallow, and they do have bourbon. I will say that. But most of these places in these rural areas really will concentrate on moonshine, and then branch out to the other stuff. All right. Reshafting. There we go. G27, will you be at the shop this Saturday? Well, yes, I will. Look at that. I even got to see that. So this is the new stuff, Charlie. And funny enough, it smells like the old stuff. We're going to have to let that one go for a minute. Yes, he will. A Japanese cast. Did they open it with a samurai sword? Well, I hope not. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have been able to close it. But that's the whole thing. Mezzanara was one of those. I don't know if it's just, hey, look, it was like calling it French oak. We did something in French oak and that cathedral stuff. Does it do anything? We're going to find out. When I tasted it, it was pretty good. Is it one of those things where you go, wow, I need everything in my life to be Mezzanara finished? No, but it's a good pour. They also did a collaboration with John Mellencamp, where he did some artistry for the labels, and is under the Mellencamp whiskey banner. And the last two, one was called Odd American, and I can't remember the last one, but the Odd American was the third out of the fourth. That was really good. John Timmons, what is a good shaft for a 78-year-old Marine swing about 80 mile an hour? Thank you and love your channel. All right. Hey, Leatherneck. Okay. So if you're actually swinging like a Marine should, with all the gusto that Marines have got, that's pretty good. So 80 mile an hour, if we're talking about if you're talking about a driver now, John, it's a little different. So swing speed does come into play, but if you truly are aggressive, there's no problem with bumping it up, right? At 80 mile an hour, you know, as far as speed goes, if you're just doing speed, you would be what I would call in the amateur range or maybe even the senior flex range. However, if you have that short backswing or that aggressive pull and you come through and you're doing all that, in order to have the consistency, you're going to want to move up, okay, into the R flex at a minimum. Now, I've done this in the past with another one that was a police officer, and you would have thought he was killing snakes. It was just wow, 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 and never got above 80. And I put him in an X flex just to get him squared away and going straight. So if let's qualify this a little bit. If you've been using an R flex club and you're in the club and the ball is still going like this because, and let's say you're very, very aggressive, there is nothing wrong with going to a lightweight stiff shaft and doing that. Now, let's go back another one. Let's say you are in that S or that senior or that A flex and the ball is just going everywhere and you have no idea. Bump it up to the R, get in that weight category that you like, and go from there. Now, as far as good shafts go in that particular area, if you like stable, which sounds like you need, you're probably looking at something that is that might be a butt stiff type of profile. And without getting, you know, exotic, say like the TZs from Accra, I wouldn't necessarily go there, but I would look at stuff that was made by Fujikura. All right, that Ventus Blue comes in a truckload of different weights and flavors, and I would look at that. And there's no need to get the Velocor option. It's cool and it's really neat, but at this point in the game, you don't need it. All right, and you can get like a 50-gram R or even a 60-gram R, and that thing will stay with you, and you might like that one. Antonio Tonti. Okay, that's cool. Hi, Jim. I have a carbon composite driver that cracked on the back of the crown. Is there any way to be repaired? No. All right. Even if it was a metal crown, there's because the funny part is, Antonio, most of the crowns are already composite. Very few are still metal. Wilson's got one in the Max, and there's one more. I can't remember what it was, but they have the titanium crowns. They're light and very, very stiff, okay? The rest of them, it is a composite. I know the thought process is that, hey, look, I can put resin on a boat. Can that work? And that's not a bad thought process. However, the boat doesn't flex like a golf club does. That's the best way I can describe it, because I've been approached about this. So if you have an entire composite driver, which the C4, the TaylorMade driver of that variety, the Callaway's Paradigm, those are the ones that come to mind. But no, sorry. In my opinion, the answer is no, and not to change the performance or the sound or any of that stuff. Okay. But Antonio has actually woken up a memory. I did a fitting this week, and I actually busted out a Strixon ZX or ZXI driver, and I'm here to tell you it worked pretty good. Unfortunately, I was staying silent on those guys because I was giving them down the road internally. And we brought in I let him hit the Callaway. I let him hit. Now the Wilson came really, really close, but as we kept tweaking. That thing, oh my gosh, worked like gangbusters. Now, why? Why is it so much different? Well, because he had a little bit of a flatter. It was funny. He came up high, but came in flat in there. And normally all the drivers were coming in like this, and they were coming through. And so he was placing the ball in the crux of the club because of the way that it looked when he was aligning himself. So he would think it's being in the center, but when it's upright, you find yourself into the crux of the club. So what I did is they had a flat standard setting, which is about 2 degrees flat. So it got like this, and as soon as he did that, he moved it out to the center. And when you find the center of the golf club, it just goes better, right? So he went from pushes or pulls to straight, and he went further, all because we flattened the driver. And it wasn't a lie angle was the way to go kind of thing. It was a perception of the way he was addressing the ball. The other part is he was always had this tee it high, let it fly thing, and he had this slightly negative angle of descent. So it was really flat and negative angle. And so we did this, and I had him lower the tee a little bit and just started hitting bullets. And so he got his mojo back with the driver. All righty. Jack's asking, on adjustable clubs, fairway, metals, hybrids, does changing loft or lie have an effect on swing weight? Good question, Jack. To an extent. So the rule of thumb for irons, we'll say it like this. Let's give you this idea. So the loft angle, no, but lie angle can. So if you wanted to change the lie angle about 3 degrees in the up or the down, that's about one swing weight. Okay, one swing weight. So the further it goes flatter, the heavier it becomes. The more it goes upright, the lighter it becomes. So if you could do the changing, and I figure if you go up, the driver's got to be a little bit different because it's all lighter components and whatnot. I would imagine a 2 degree up or a 2 degree down would probably give you about the same. All right. Hello, Antonio. There's Lawrence. What do you say, sir? How you doing? There's Robin saying back. You did say Elijah Craig, didn't you? Did you have to say Elijah? Yes, I did. And right now the 24 is winning over the 25, but fresh crack versus setting for 6 months. But they're nosing identically, dude. Lawrence +5 on 9. +5 on 9. Henry Tutton, what do you say? What kind of mini driver do you have? I have the Elite. I have the Elite 11 degree with the 60 gram stiff flex from Denali in the gray. Everybody likes to say the color. I don't know if it's any different. They just paint them different ones down at the end or not, but that's what I have. Charcoal. Another guy at work, he was asking, he was having driver woes, and I wholly recommended that particular club. And knowing full well that I own a golf shop, he went and ordered his online, and he came back today to tell me his progress. That he's a good golfer, and he'll shoot in the 70s easily, and a noodle, yeah, and he said. He came back, his eyes were just wide open, and he said, I can swing as hard as I want, and I still find the fairway. And that's all he needed to hear. And that's all I wanted to do. So good. So hopefully that helped you. There's only, if memory serves, Henry, there's only 3. Titleist's got one, and TaylorMade's got one, and Callaway's got one. And if you're a TaylorMade fan, you'll never stray from it. The QI35 has been actually quite the performer. I am not a TaylorMade person, but stats are stats, right? I like the look of the Elite. It just suits my eye. Now, the Titleist one, if Krister was on here, he could tell you. I think he had one. I like the shape of the Titleist. I've just never been able to really hit one well. I think they're a great company. I just never been able to hit one well. Dave Brzezowski, what do you say? He says, hi, McGolf Nuts. Hey, what do you say, buddy? Lawrence, I was +5 on 9, but haven't played in a month. I'll take that. A drive 263 with the old Callaway Rogue. LS surprised me. I've been playing the mini burner. There you go. There's what we were just talking about right there. He's carrying one and likes it. And I think it's funny that he's carrying the Rogue LS. So they're, it's all what works, man. All what works. Robin saying hello. Henry saying hello back. Nice drive, Lawrence. I would say that's an awesome drive, to be honest. There we go. Hi, Dave. Dave is saying hi back. Thanks, Charles. Here we go. Sonic, I just got my first set of blades. Hogan Apex 2s from 79. Whoo! Talk about some butter knives, man. What should I notice using blades as opposed to standard irons like the Edge irons or even my Epic Pros? Well, number one, Sonic, it's going to be a different feel. All right, if you have truly a set of Apexes that have not been reshafted, they'll have the Hogan red label shafts, and they'll either have a 3 or 4 or I even believe a 5. If it has a 5, it's an X-Flex shaft, and they're heavy. If it is a 4, it is a stiff, and they're still heavy. And if it's a 3, it's a regular, and guess what? They're still heavy. That's just the way they were made, right? That's back in the day. The other part is that the ball will not fly anywhere near what those standard irons like the Edge or the Epic iron is going. The Epic's going to win them all, right? But even the Edge irons, which was a different generation, a different evolution, will be slightly stronger, so you'll probably not hit them as far. Now, they are really good looking in the bag, I will say that. Everybody loves a blade. That's the reason why these hollow bodies are so desired, because they got a cool look to them. The other part is that you'll find out that the center of gravity in these Apex blades is not in the middle. It is not in the middle because it has the big hosel, right? It's a bigger, longer hosel, and it may or may not be pinned, but the bigger hosel. So what it does is, the center of gravity being here, it'll be more towards the heel. So be okay with a heel strike for it to go longer. Now, to prove that point, if you go to the Golf Hall of Fame, which is now in Pinehurst, if they're still showing the lockers like they did when it was in Florida, if you go to the older clubs, you will find out they had wear marks that were much closer towards the heel because that was the best place to hit it. And so there's some fun, but have some fun with it, man. There's Teresa. What do you say, cuz? How you doing, kiddo? I'm saying hello. We have Mick Fly in the house saying hello to Mr. and Mrs. McGolf. Saying hello back. There we go. Forrestal. That's an old carrier. Sure, it is decommissioned now. Oh, for sure. I mean, this guy was flying on it well, we all know if you don't know the history of the Forrestal caught on fire, and it was a metal fire. Metal fires are virtually impossible to put out, and basically their catastrophe set the standard and the model for how the Navy and a lot of nuclear practices, how they respond to emergencies and fires and whatnot. It was basically the flagship, as much as I hate to say that, of how to not do it and how we recovered to do it correctly. And they rebuilt the thing. And I would imagine he probably got on it from there because he didn't appear to be that old. There we go. Great game, Charles. Great game week. Oh, and no doubt he was all over it. saying thank you. Oh, we got somebody that knows what's going on. Oh, dude, Michael, I'm going to murder that freaking name. Star Uts. No, I'm not even going to do it. I give. All right. Where's it? Michael? Michael Starr.
Yes.
Yeah, the USS Saratoga. That was the other one he was talking about. Independence and then the Saratoga. That was the other one. He didn't say the Ranger. Yeah, but those were, man, you want to talk about some ancient history right there. And he's saying hello. Oh, and by the way, thanks for joining us, man. That's a new name for us right here. Phil K, a little good, getting in a little bit, a little late, but that's okay. Hey, no problem. Oh, he's saying aloha. We know where he's from. And now we know why he knows about it, because he's a Navy guy, or at least worked in the yard. And with that last name, I'm going to go he's a Navy guy, or was a Navy guy. Congrats, man. That was the one place I always wanted to go, and just never, the duty billets could never show up for us. So, no, not to go live there.
Well, we could go visit.
Maybe. Hello, Mark. Oh, Mark Nat. How you doing, Mark? I just went right by you. Sorry. Hi, all from Austin. A little late getting on. The afternoon naps are wonderful. Well, good to luck. Hey, so did you get did the temperatures ever come down so you could get out and do some good work? Do you know any great fitters in Northern Virginia? Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia.
Depends on where it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of West Virginia.
There was a guy in Richmond, Virginia that I met once. He seemed to be a pretty good fellow. The life of me, I cannot remember his name. He was just getting started. I've been doing it for about half my life at this point. And he was just he was getting started, but he had the right attitude to learn and do good things. Wish I could remember him. And then if you're in the Maryland area, in the northern area, Maryland. The next set of folks would have to be either in Delaware or was it New Hampshire?
Really?
Oh, that's right. Matt Graboe. He probably goes by the Club Doctor. He's in D.C. You can try him out. I've known Matt for a while. His dad taught him and actually, gave me a handful of pointers. Good guys. They're actually from Atlanta, Georgia, or at least they were. He has since moved up. He got married and moved. It's kind of funny that I know all this, but I couldn't remember his name. He got married, and his wife works in D.C., and he started a business in D.C. I would look up the Club Doctor in D.C. His name's Matt Graboe, Growaby, I think. Okay. And if you do find him, and tell him I sent him. I sent you. He'll go, what? Yeah, it's pretty fun. All righty. Charlie, and those rounds were played with my custom McGolf crafted that Mrs. McGolf gripped, right? That's where we got to throw that in there. All righty. Did you hear Lab was purchased by a private equity firm? No, I did not know that. Well, look at them go. Well, that's what happens when you get popular. They get bought out. Now we'll see. The private equity firm, we'll see what happens next. Mark wants to know, did I see that Excalibur is going out of business and they're discounting their, yeah. Yes, Mark, I did see that. I've known Rob and Arthur for well over a decade now. And I had experience with his previous labelings when they called them Model 5s and 7s and 3s and that kind of stuff. He changed them over to, gave them really cool paint jobs and called them something else. What I had the most success with in using them were what they called super lights. And he had super light irons, and they were irons that were extraordinarily light, and they were absolutely stable, massively stable. I don't know if he makes those anymore, but they translated into a driver shaft that was actually pretty good too. The other one that I liked was equivalent to a Model 5. And what it was a very butt soft shaft. And that was for people that I used it quite a bit. It was like instead of a 60 gram, it was a 50 gram shaft, and it was butt soft, and it allowed the whole club to come back around for those people that had problems squaring up the club. And it was kind of an anti-slice thing. And it was very, very cool. Now, he had a counterbalanced one as well, but I don't remember the name of it. I just don't. The other part is he had skews that were fairway wood shafts. If you find one that you like that, go to the driver with it because they will match perfectly. Right? He was brilliant at that kind of stuff. Charlie's awesome rounds. Bet you were smiling all the way home. I guarantee you he was. There we go. The heat's been brutal here in St. Louis for the past month. Here too, man. And it was, I mean, even we took off on this thing, we had an argument whether it was 93 or 92 or 91. So the fact that we were arguing in the 90s is pathetic. They're saying, thank you. Yes, I had to call my sons to tell them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here we go. Hi, all the golf aficionados. Hope Jen and Ron are keeping well rested, fed, and watered. Yeah. After this last weekend of finding all those distilleries, water was a must-have, bud. Chad and Shondell Anderson. My irons are with you now. Okay, very cool. Are those we just opened a box today that they're PXGs, and we're reshafting them with a different type of ferrule. We were just talking about that. In order to use that ferrule, I've got to go order some of the other regular ferrules and cut the shoulder off and put them in the place so that they don't wobble, and then put that other ferrule on top. I've done it several times. In fact, there's a video on it. And as soon as Mrs. McGolf gets around, I'll know which one it is. Oh, here we go. I think it's cute how the rest of the company complains about temps in the 90s. Man up and play around here in Arizona in August at 115 and 118. The answer to that, Efren, would be no. When it gets out there and your clubs want to boil apart because of the damn heat, that's that cooking egg on the freaking sidewalk stuff in Arizona. Holy cow. Chad Anderson. He says his clubs are here. Is that the PXGs that we were talking about?
Oh, yeah, Chad.
Yep. So, hey, I guessed right. So, Efren, the guy that started New Level, buddy of mine started New Level, he was out there and he showed me his temperature on his car was 120 at one time. I was just like, good God, man. How do you even do that? And if you tell me it's a dry heat, I don't care. 120 is still 120. But, man, oh, man. Yeah, that's one of those things you have to get used to right there. Whew. 101 with 118. Gee, many Christmas, fellas. Is normally the dry heat quite a bit different than the humid heat. Dude, 118 is still 118. I don't care how you slice that. I'd hate to see our buddy that's in Tennessee have. Could you imagine being without air conditioning in that? That would be lethal. Steven, if you can find a fan that has a water mister attached and you are not in a high humid area, probably cool down your bedroom. Not too many dollars. Yeah, I was kind of talking about that with the ice cubes. Yes, the Lab Golf Putter Company was recently acquired by L. Catterton, a private equity firm backed by, I don't know who LVMH is, but okay. Link Timko Vought? I don't know. 200 million equally. Wow. Well, if I'm the owner of the guy, if I'm that guy that owns it and they're handing me 200 million to do and say, here's Lab Golf, I'd like, yeah, see ya. I'm out of here. And I could live off of that for a while. I've actually tried the ice trick. Doesn't work like I remember from when it did when I was a kid. Okay. 115 August in Arizona, but it's a dry heat. Yeah, here we go. We've heard all that one. Awesome shot. He's saying thank you. John says, Steven, turn your fan on slow if you want the air to contact you with as long as possible. It still cools mine that way. I fixed many ice makers with them. There you go. What's your thought on KZG clubs? You talked to Jennifer and she wants me to start selling for them again. Oh, customer service in her strong suit. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I do like the designs from KZG. Are there anything that because Clay, his last name is Clay, was a designer, helped design those golf clubs. It just wasn't some house brand, and they were I mean, there was a couple of them. They were very nice. There's some that were not like anything else. And the one thing I thought was unique when they did it is they had a cast version and an identical forged version, and we used to hand them off and say which one's cast and which one's forged, and it was about a 50-50 split, and they could do it. Now their drivers where I was going to say were average. Now again, it's been over a generation, easily. It's been over a generation, and and that was what happened was Jennifer was using guys like me and the club makers to get the name out, and as soon as they felt the name was out, we were put on hold or put on notice that we had to sell more or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, you got some serious backbone there to be telling people they got to sell more of your stuff if you want to keep carrying them. And the response was overwhelming of come get your stuff. And so I'm not sure. I've just lost touch with them. But that was what it was. So they tried calling us a couple of times way back when, and we just told them we weren't interested in that anymore. So you're doing a big enough bang up job out there, Efren. I would honestly, if I was you, the way that you're working it right now is I would approach the folks like we did and try and get some OEM components and see how that works. Because I don't recall them being any less expensive. So if you're go with something that's got a name that people will recognize. That's really what I would look at. It becomes a business proposition. The Cerakote, that's what I was looking for. DLC or Cerakote, that's it. There's the other company. Liquid Golf Designs can refinish any of the clubs. Jim at Ironworks retired. Okay. There we go. That's the one. That is the one right there. Okay. Anyone buy the Odyssey yet? I think that would be very cool as an heirloom, but as far as putters go, they got to make a lefty version first before I'll buy it. Yeah, we were just talking about that, Efren. There's guys talking about being sold. I wonder how that's going to affect everything. Heard rumblings about Opus SP wedges replacing the current ones. Looks like I will be sending you some new wedges to build. We'll be ready, man. We will be ready. See, you're the one that normally tells me about these things, about these new wedge stuff, so I'm kind of glad we got out there just before you. Looking for a good graphite wedge shaft for my A wedge, 95 to 105. I like softer tips as I play a lot of quarter swing suggestions. Graphite wedge shafts. Well, honestly, John, since you are actually in since you're in Canada, go over to Kingston or call the folks in Kingston and get yourself an I-Series 95-gram wedge shaft. This is specific wedge shaft, exactly what you're asking for right there. And if you wanted to go crazy with it, you could get it painted in your own colors. Pardon me. You get it painted in your own colors, and they'll show you the different ones. But I would, again, in Canada, all you have to do is pay for the shipping, and as opposed to tariffs or any of that other stuff, and go from there. But that one comes to mind directly as far as graphite, lightweight, softer. That would be a way to go. Now, the only other one that comes to mind, and I'd have to check on the weight though. I think Catalyst makes one, and that's their upper end. And again, we're trying to stay soft tip because I know Recoil makes one, but it's not that way. Trying to think if anybody else out there would have one. So either the Catalyst shaft, and you have to make sure the highest I've ever seen them make one was 85, but the Acra I series. And again, the fact they're in Kingston, you might get a hookup for being in the same country. There's Dan. Hello, John. Efren. Whoop, I missed him. You know Eric from yeah. Yeah, I do. I've known Eric when he was living in Illinois, Efren. The guy is always this. He's like a golf nerd, and learned how to metal lathe on his own. The guy's pretty smart, and he's a stick. I bet he plays to a 1 or a 0. That's where I'm at with him. Yeah, but good guy. Yep. In fact, we've got us. He said when he made a set of left, he knew that I was sticking with him, but he promised me that he would make a set of left-handed irons, and he did. And he didn't make them for me. He made them for his dad. His dad's left-handed, and we got the second set. And I've had a hard time. I'm trying to wait for this left-handed high schooler to show up, and then I probably sell them to him. Looking at putting a Ping 5 wood in the bag, do you feel that the 440 is worth the extra money over the 430? I have to think about that one. I actually got to talk with the Ping rep that is from Nebraska, and we went in detail the differences in those clubs. And it appears that the 440 is a design leap, meaning that they added enough stuff to make it worthy to make the jump. I've not seen one. I've not hit one. But based on that's a lie. I did see one. I saw one at the PGA show. I have not hit one. And based on that, I would say yes. All righty. Look at that.
You sure you didn't jump anything?
I'm pretty sure.
Did you talk?
Oh, wait, here's one. I missed one.
Yep, you jumped.
How did I jump all these guys? What did you do?
I should just say goodbye. But no.
You did. Man, I missed. Okay. How did I get to the bottom?
Put your finger like that.
I did not. All right, I got to go to the top here. Let's start with thumbs up. Man, Jesus. All right. All right. So John says 10 to agree on customer service. It's a go. It's good go around. Yeah. Okay, we got that one. Consistent from one batch to the next. That's one thing good about Elijah Craig. Yeah, they are. It is that. You just got to let them breathe a little bit. I do have regular shafts. Marine also tried. Also retired LA cop. Oh my gosh. Well, dude. You've got my sympathies, or no, you've got my respect. Let's put it that way. Let's go with that one. So if you like that and they feel a little floppy to you, don't be afraid to go lightweight stiff. All right. If you're not getting the thing up in the air, then go the other way. How about that? RSG, hello, Jim and Rob was talking with a club fitter, and he said he went the no pay for fitting route, said he could fit you into a better driver or you get a sleeve of balls, and he said his sales are up. Well, It would depend on how the person is fitting. If they're fitting out of a golf cart or off of a fitting cart, I could see that being a thing.
And where they live.
But here, that's not. I'm sure people would come for a free fitting, but unfortunately, RS, that's my. Uh, he's literally giving away. He's giving away his services, and after doing this for so long, when we do this for 3.5 hours for a fitting, that's not going to be for free. And it's just the way it is. And not only am I not doing fitting, or I'm doing fittings, but we're also doing swing analysis and things like that. So mine goes a little bit above and beyond the normal, what would be the normal fitting. But if it's working for him, hey, have at it. So it sounds like what he's doing is he's pumping out a lot of stuff that he's ordering, and that's where he goes from there. But if it works for him and that's his model, then very cool. I only see 2 thumbs up and 40s watching. Yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys and gals. And again, now that you brought it up, go to my other channel too and watch that other video I put out, Pars and Pours. We need to get you away from Callaway, just saying. Maybe so, Efren, maybe so. I've always been able to hit those well. The Apex has been a really good club for me. And almost all the models. I don't know what it is about that thing. The standard stuff like the Elites and all that, yeah, I can hit them, but I just tend to hit these better. I think it's the longer blade length, to be honest with you. Up until now, the driver was the thing, but it's just me. I've got to get my turn back better, and we go from there. Thank you, Charlie. I see 27. Refresh. Now I see 26. Not in our hello. Oh, not in our part of the country. Yep. Wonder why you only see 2. Sometimes X out and come back. He said he was getting more people and started selling more clubs. Well, good for him. Depends on where your shop is, I would imagine. If I fly to Columbus this Friday from Fort Worth and will be driving a car, I have up there Saturday morning, would you be able to stop by and say hello? Very cool. That would be nice. Stop by. What size is the KBS Pro Ultralight in regular and how many grams? Pro Ultralight. I don't know. We'd have to look that one up ourselves. Robin's looking it up even as we speak, so we'll let you know here in a moment because you're too nosy not to. Nick Brunyard. Hi, I have a Tensei Red AV shaft for irons that need to be do Tensei Red shafts for irons need to be tip trim for Titleist 350. That's a good question. So a couple of things, Nick. If you're buying them standard and you're buying them and they are a 355 tip, my first inclination is no. If you're buying them and they're 370 tip and they're all the same length, like at 41 inches, the answer would be yes. And then the other part is you got to wonder whether or not the Titleist 350 is a 370 or a 355 shaft. I've got the feeling that it's probably a 370, and it would need to, and if they're all the same shaft, then yes, you would have to trim them. Standard industry practice is about 1/2 inch per club, starting with about 1/2 inch at the 4-iron. That's great. I'm not sure if Jim will have fittings or not, given the date, 2 people. Okay. Yeah. Stop by and say hi. We can always stop for a moment.
95 and 350 and taper tip.
Huh?
95 grams in taper tip for our flex.
For what?
That KBS tour light that we just asked about.
Okay. What was the weight?
95 grams.
Oh, 95 grams for the ultralight, and it comes in a taper tip.
No, and parallel is 105, but it's R and S.
Oh, so parallel is 105, but it sounds like you're going to be tipping a lot of tip section and maybe a lot of butt section because it's a combo flex in R or S. There you go. One of my Navy buddies served on the Ranger. There you go. Tour light. Yeah, the tour light. Yeah. So what we found was if it's a taper tip, it's 95 grams. If it's a 370 tip, it's 105, but it's an RS combo. And that's so there's an extra tip section on the tour lights in the parallel tip in order so that you can trim up to a stiff shaft. I think the Independence was in that class as well. I'm going with what he served on it, and they're all old. Michael, 20 years of fast attacks, long retired. Ooh, me too, bud. And so same thing with Charlie, except for I didn't retire. West Coast in the shipyard, and East Coast on doing the ops. Very cool. Well, if you've been long retired, were you in sturgeon class? That last one was better. See, there we go. Me as well. There we go. One par shooter. Here we go. Some more stuff. Jim and Robin just sitting outside with Miss Pat Shooter. Pat Shooter up here in upper state New York. The temperature is over 90, and we have the fans blasting. Good for you. Upper state. There you go. We did upper state there in Ballston Spa, and for a few months, and I got to experience the winters up there. Man, oh man. Sturgeon class boats. Look, we're on the same path here, Charlie. The narwhal. Yeah. The narwhal. The guy on my boat was off the narwhal. And is that the one that was all turbine? I think that was the one. That was all turbine boat. 560s, looking at the set, any improvements over the old 560s that you know about? So over the 565s, just a hair bigger, right? Just a hair bigger, and the soles were a little bit more convex or more rounded, right? I forget which one, concave or convex. I'm going to go with convex. A little bit more that, and quite possibly just a hair stronger, but not a great departure. No. USS Gennard 68 and the drum. I know this drum. Look at you guys go. I'll throw mine in there. The Whale, the 638, the Narwhal experimental scoop cooling boat. There you go. Yeah. Do you have any golf repair shops to recommend in in Seattle? To reshaft my clubs from 7.0 hard step to regulars. Holy cow. There used to be a guy up there that I knew. His name was Eddie Smith. He deals a lot with Mizuno stuff. I don't know if he's still doing repairs. He had a bit of a health scare. I don't know if he left that or not. There was a guy in California that I knew, and he's probably not doing it anymore either. I'm trying to think if there's another fella in the Washington State area. Remember anybody in Washington State?
No, I told him to send it to us.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what is that?
Finish the wedge when you're done. I'm going upstairs.
What do you mean finish the wedge when I'm done? I'm really trying to think. Eddie Smith is the one that comes to mind. And I knew he was good. I just don't know who else is over there anymore. I'm trying to go through my head. There might have been a guy in... Was there a guy in Bremerton? Or Tacoma? Probably a guy in Tacoma. But for the life of me, I can't remember his name. But those are the ones that I know right off the top of my head. RJ saying thanks. Henry, I've been fitted for Srixon I4 and the Cobra Dark Speed. The Srixons have the KBS Graphite 60 PGIs. They have the 75 already. Any difference in the 60 to 75 graphite? That's kind of different. I would have thought it would have been the other way around. So personally, if you're looking at an opinion, I like the Srixon eyes because it's a forged product. I don't know a lot about the Cobra Dark Speed. I have a feeling that it is not forged, but it is very strong, much like the I4 is. That to say that's not. But the Srixon has a very wide sole in the bottom. The Dark Speed may not. The KBS PGIs are one of my favorite all around, just decent, good shafts. Okay. And the 75s and the 60s, the difference between them, the profiles are virtually the same. They're just going to, the 60 is going to be softer. Okay. The 60 is going to be softer. They do, if you notice, they don't do a lot of flexing. And so the flex on the 60 is going to be softer. Okay. And it's kind of funny that that one worked for the other one and the other one did not. Oh, and it probably why is Cobra is notorious for having a short insertion depth in their hosels. And when you do that, you need something a little bit more stout for it to stay stable. That would be a pure guess, but this is going based on history. Most go about 1.25 inches. They like going short, and with the idea that it gives you a little bit more of that, and so they can go a little heavier and get the same result. And if that truly is the case, then I would certainly go with the Srixon just from a breakage point of view. Make sure that's not a blood clot. Yeah, we talked about that, and he's been bad. She's had it checked on it, and she should be all right. It happened to you. All right. Well, maybe I imagine she's going to go upstairs and check her right now. Sorry, missed you. Says Robbinsville's going to have it checked again. Pain doesn't go away. Hello, hello. R. Played in New Mexico, August, University of Mexico course, 1995. No thermometer in view. View away from Albuquerque City. Guess it was about 110 based on my experience playing golf in American Samoa. Holy cow. Woo! Wow. All right, now we're back to it. I can't believe I missed all that stuff before. Sorry, guys. We did all that one, and we did that one, and now we're going down here. How did I get to the bottom one sip at a time? By God. That's how they, you can't start drinking. You can't drink all day unless you get started in the morning, right? That's just how it works. So the last sip is going to be right here when we get down to the end. I met Eric when he developed Club Connects. Oh, yeah. When he made the very first one, he and I talked quite a bit about the failures and what would work and what didn't. Yeah, we talked long and hard about that one. And he was in Illinois when he did that. The funny part is that the reason why we had this commonality is that I helped build a metal building in the town in Illinois that he was from. There was it. Yep, PCS days. Thumbs up from R. Okay, so if the 350, now here we go back. If now you have 350s, the T350s are a 355, so you're going to need a 355 tip, and in almost every single case, they will come in discrete lengths. So no, you do not need to tip. There, hopefully that helped. All right, guys and gals, thank you to Robin for telling me that I missed some stuff. It allowed us to go an extra 15 minutes. So we got down to the bottom. Again, a couple of things. Again, thank you guys for sending me your stuff. It just is absolutely the greatest thing that people from around the United States, and actually had one fella from Israel send me something once before, in order to fix your stuff. I mean, it's really kind of cool. Each one's always a challenge. Each one's unique in a build, and so each one is one at a time. That's the coolest part about it. The second thing is, if you're a person that believes in the hearts and prayers for my friend who lost his wife in a tragic accident, I thank you very much for doing that. And two, if you do me an extremely big favor and go over to Pars and Pours and check out the Ryder Cup and leave me a note and tell me what you think I could do better, because it is just getting started. I don't have a room open like I have here that I would like to do it with, but we're getting there and getting started. It's just a lot of fun. I'm just having fun with it. We'll just see what happens. And again, guys, as always, I appreciate you guys staying around and asking me the questions. It's always fun. It keeps my brain working. And I think what we're going to do is I have a Cleveland wedge I have to test, and maybe we'll do a boxes to builds on one of these sets of clubs. That would be kind of fun. So watch us for the rest of the week, and as always, let's see your scores go low.